In September 1985, when the first images of the Titanic emerged from the pitch-black depths of the Atlantic after more than 7 decades, the entire world held its breath. Resting 12,600 feet below the surface, nearly 2.5 miles down in complete darkness, the front half of the legendary ship, the bow, appeared remarkably well preserved. The iconic railings, the massive anchor chains, and the elegant curves of the hull were still there, echoing the old photographs from 1912. But the news broadcasts and documentaries of the time barely whispered a word about the other half. They hid a terrifying truth. They didn't show you the stern. And there is a chilling reason why no one talks about the back half of the Titanic. It is simply too horrifying to look at. Welcome back to Sunken Inside. If you want to dive deep into sunken maritime history and uncover the darkest secrets resting on the ocean floor, you're in the right place. Today we are exploring the terrifying, unspoken fate of the Titanic's stern. For 73 years, the official story was a misunderstanding. After that freezing night on April 15, 1912, a few of the terrified survivors claimed they watched the massive ship violently snap in half before it plunged into the abyss. But others, along with official investigators, insisted the Titanic sank entirely whole. It wasn't until those first underwater cameras reached the seabed that the world realized the horrifying truth. The ship had indeed violently torn itself apart. When you look at restored original footages and deep-sea scans of the wreck, the contrast between the two halves is deeply unsettling. The bow glided down to the bottom almost like a submarine. It filled with water slowly, equalizing the pressure, which allowed it to land on the sea floor somewhat gracefully. But the stern? It lies about 2,000 feet away from the bow, and it doesn't even look like a ship anymore. It is a mangled, twisted, unrecognizable mountain of shredded steel melting into the ocean floor. Only the most massive, solid components, like the giant propellers and engines, survived the descent. To understand why the stern suffered such catastrophic destruction, we have to look at what was inside it. The back half of the ship housed the third-class passenger quarters, the cavernous cargo holds, the massive kitchens, and the engineering spaces. These were enormous rooms filled with massive pockets of trapped air. When the ship split, the bow slipped under, but the stern was pulled high into the night sky. Eventually, it lost its battle with gravity and plunged beneath the freezing waves. Because of the massive open tear where the ship had broken, water violently rushed in. The stern didn't glide, it plummeted like a rock. As it sank deeper and deeper, passing hundreds, then thousands of feet, the immense crushing weight of the ocean pressed down upon it. Those massive air pockets trapped inside the lower decks could not withstand the extreme water pressure. In a fraction of a second, with a deafening, violent roar that echoed through the dark waters, the entire back half of the Titanic imploded. The sheer force of the ocean crushed heavy steel bulkheads like tin cans, tearing the ship inside out and violently scattering debris, heavy machinery, and personal belongings across miles of the ocean floor. It was an event of unimaginable destruction. That is why experts rarely show it. It's the most painful, devastating part of the wreck, a tangled graveyard of twisted metal. But this tragic story isn't over. The remarkably intact bow is slowly facing the exact same fate, just in a different, quieter way. At 12,600 feet down, the wreck is enduring a water pressure 390 times greater than at the surface. And worse, it's being eaten alive. A unique species of iron-eating bacteria is consuming the ship, stripping away between 0.13 and 0.2 tons of iron every single day. The 52,000 tons of steel are groaning under their own weight, and upper decks are already collapsing in on themselves. Scientists estimate that in about 400 years, the Titanic will completely vanish from the ocean floor, returning back to nature. That is exactly why it's so crucial to explore, scan, and document our sunken maritime history before the ocean claims it forever. Did you know the terrifying truth about the Titanic's imploded stern? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you love uncovering the mysteries of sunken ships and diving into the forgotten history of the deep, make sure to subscribe to Sunken Inside and hit the bell icon. We'll see you in the next deep sea adventure.